The tragic shooting on the set of Alec Baldwin's film Rust is a story that really captured worldwide attention. And today we're continuing our conversation around the impact of those high-profile legal cases. The law firm of Ashton & Price is here to break down this case and give us insights on what it could mean to the public. Joining me now is attorney of Ashton & Price, Craig Ashton. Welcome back, Craig. Always nice to see you, sir.
Nice to see you.
So, Craig, let's talk about the big picture. This case with Alec Baldwin has seen a lot of twists and turns. Can you break down why it's been so compelling, and especially if you're maybe not familiar with all the specific legal proceedings?
Right. So there was a new development actually a week ago in regards to a motion to reconsider. So let me remind everybody what happened. So October 21st, 2021, Alec Baldwin, producer and actor on a movie set in Santa Fe for a movie called Rust. It's a Western, it's not a rom-com, so unbelievably gross negligence of having live ammunition on a set with guns that can fire live ammunition. I mean, to me as a plaintiff's lawyer, does personal injury, was shocking. So he ends up shooting during a take to get angles and lighting, shoots the cinematographer, Hanya Hutchins, and also shoots the director, Joel Souza. Hanya Hutchins dies. So goes on ABC, talks to George Stephanopoulos and says, I didn't pull the trigger. Defense lawyer 101, don't let your client talk about the facts of the case. He did, and was charged with involuntary manslaughter in January of 2023. Then ultimately, turns out the FBI was banging the mallet of the gun, damaged the gun, spoliation of evidence, and then the case was dismissed. Then the armorer was basically tried and found guilty of involuntary manslaughter, get 18 months in prison. They refiled the cause of action in January of 2023, or 2024 of this year, and then they dismissed it in July as a result of basically not sharing evidence where turns out the friend of the father of Gutierrez Reed, who's the armorer, gave bullets to the sheriff's department in Santa Fe and district attorney's office. They didn't share it with the defense team, and it got dismissed on a due process, which is basically you've got to share exculpatory evidence. They didn't share it, and the judge dismissed the case with prejudice.
Let's talk about that, dismissed with prejudice. What exactly does that mean?
That just means that they can't bring the case again. So what happened was that they filed a motion to reconsider, saying, hey, judge, I think you've got it wrong here. And because this prosecution team is so disorganized, they filed the motion late, and they're limited to the number of pages, and they exceeded it dramatically. And the judge said, first of all, I don't agree with your assessment in regards to your obligation to turn over evidence. You don't get to choose as the prosecution whether or not you think that helps the defense. You got to turn it over. So you kept that as a violation of the Constitution as applied to the states through the 14th Amendment. And on top of that, you were late, and you didn't file the right number of pages for the motion. So no, I will not grant your motion to reconsider. So their only avenue now is to appeal this to the New Mexico Supreme Court.
Raised a lot of eyebrows with the handling of the evidence. You've been following this closely.
Yeah, it's just, when you see that, so our system is set up to make sure that the government doesn't overstep and take away your liberty. It's very important, and we have rules that are enshrined in our Constitution, in the 4th Amendment, in the 5th Amendment, in the 6th Amendment, in the 14th Amendment, as applied to the states. And so when you violate that, it is sacrosanct. And Alec Baldwin had a very good defense team that could hold the prosecution team, the DA's office in Santa Fe, to bear, said, look, Your Honor, they got bullets. They don't get to choose whether or not this is something that is helpful to us. We get to see it. They didn't hand it over, and we want you to dismiss the case. And the judge said, you know what? The Constitution is so important that we are going to dismiss this case with prejudice. And then the motion to reconsider was denied just last week.
Due process. So that's the lesson to be learned in terms of safety, responsibility, legal accountability. Is that the lesson for the public in this?
Well, due process is basically the rules have to be followed because it has to be fair. In regards to the general idea that if you're an employer, I mean, use this as an example of exactly what not to do. So, having live ammunition on a Western with real guns, I mean, that is just shocking to me. And they settled the civil case, so they paid every dollar that they had to the family for wrongful death. But ultimately, the issue with the criminal case has now been dismissed.
Thank you. This is fascinating. We want to keep talking about this. There's so much to dive into. Always a pleasure to see you. So much more to talk about. For the best legal advice, visit AshtonandPrice.com.